Welcome students to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Subrat Kumar Acharya from Ravenshaw University, Cuttack, Odisha. Today we shall discuss an important module, that is Allahabad pillar inscription of Samudragupta of the paper Indian Epigraphy. First of all, we have to know the objectives of this module. The main objective of this module is to study the history and decipherment of Allahabad pillar inscription, to know the language, script and content of the inscription, and also to get an idea about the conquests and other achievements of the Gupta king Samudragupta as mentioned in the inscription. Now this inscription is the most important record regarding the history and achievements of King Samudragupta. It was first noticed in 1834. Originally it was set up at the ancient city of Kausambi or modern Kusam, some 28 miles away from Allahabad in Uttar Pradesh. It was brought to Allahabad either by Firoz Shah Tughlaq or by Akbar, and it is now located inside the Allahabad fort on the bank of river Ganges. Now we are taking a look at the two slides. On the left side you will find the pillar is there. This is the Ashokan pillar, and this pillar is a tapering pillar. Tapering means the diameter at the bottom is larger than the diameter at the top, and this is a monolithic pillar. It is built in one single stone, and this is a circular pillar and a polished pillar. These are the features of the Ashokan pillar, and on the surface of this circular pillar we find the inscriptions. The first inscription, as I told you, it was belonging to Ashoka, who installed this pillar. The second inscription, chronologically, it belonged to Samudragupta, and the third one was belonging to Jahangir in 1605 Common Era. Now this pillar, on the top of this pillar you can find a bell capital that is also designed in the shape of a bell or an inverted lotus. On the top of the capital you will find an abacus. It is a square abacus, and on the abacus you will find a number of sculptural embellishments in low relief, and on the top of the pillar you can find seating lion, and this is known as the lion capital. So a pillar has at least four components. One is the shaft, that is the longer part of the monolithic structure. Then there is the inverted capital, and above the bell capital there is the abacus, square abacus, and above the square abacus there is the animal motif. And in this particular pillar the animal motif is a lion motif, and this is the original location where the Allahabad pillar inscription of Samudragupta was located, and it was in Kausambi. Later in it was shifted to Allahabad fort during the time of the East India Company. So on the right hand side of the inscription you can find the polish of the pillar and how the inscriptions are engraved neatly on the circular pillar. But this inscription, because of the wear and tear, has been damaged to a considerable extent, and that's why the letters are completely defaced, and at times it is not readable. Now regarding the history and decipherment of the inscription, it can be said that in the year 1834 it was Captain A. Troyer who first discovered this inscription, and he was also the person who deciphered the inscription and published the text and translation of the inscription in the Journal of the Asiatic Society of Bengal, published in 1834. In the same year, Reverend W.H. Mill had also published a revised version of the text and the translation in the same volume. But both the translations of Troyer and Mill, they were not adequate and satisfactory. That's why in the year 1837, James Prinsep gave a fresh version of his reading of the inscription with the impression prepared by Captain Edward Smith. And the results of Prinsep's reading was also published in the Journal of the Asiatic Society of Bengal. But credit goes to J. Fleet for publishing an accurate reading of the inscription from the original column and rendering a fresh translation of it in his Corpus Inscriptionum Indicarum volume 3 in the year 1888. So credit goes to J.F. Fleet for the first time giving a comprehensive, detailed and flawless reading of the inscription. And the pillar, inscribed pillar, contains at least 3 inscriptions. And you know that this pillar was an Ashokan pillar. So that's why chronologically we can arrange three inscriptions like this. The first inscription belonged to the reign of Ashoka, that is in the 3rd century BC. The second to Samudragupta of the Gupta dynasty in the 4th century Christian era. And the third inscription belonged to Mughal Emperor Jahangir, that is in the early part of 17th century AD. And to be more precise, the year is 1605 AD. The inscription of Samudragupta is much mutilated. From the slide you can very well see that this inscription is very much mutilated. It is defaced and completely not readable at many places. But it contains 33 lines, out of which some lines are totally defaced. The inscription is not dated. This is the inscription, photograph of the inscription, and here you can find how the letters are peeled up at different places, and that's why making the inscription quite, reading of the inscription quite impossible at many places, and that's why the reading is quite incomplete. Now coming to the language and script of the inscription, we can say that this inscription is written both in verse and prose. It is written partly in verse and partly in prose. The language is ornate Sanskrit and the script is letter Brahmi script, and some scholars point out that this script belonged to the Gupta script, and you can see the letter forms, the vowels, the consonants of the Gupta script as copied from the Allahabad pillar inscription. Now this inscription is an eulogy of the king. It is couched in the court language of the elite class, and the full imperial attitude reflecting the glory of the imperial Guptas. There are total 9 verses which are consecutively numbered in the text. This is one important aspect of the inscription, that for the first time an inscription is, the verses of the inscription, they are numbered in the text itself. The first 8 verses are in the introductory portion up to line 16, and the 9th verse is written in lines 30 and 31. This inscription is composed by Harisena. He was a court poet and a minister of Samudragupta. He assumed the titles like Sandhivigrahika, Kumaramatya and Mahadandanayaka. Sandhivigrahika means he was the minister of war and peace. Kumaramatya means he was the minister of the crown prince, and Mahadandanayaka means he was in charge of the law and order of the kingdom. So the inscription also tells us that he was the son of Mahadandanayaka Dhruvabhuti and was a resident of Khadyatapataka. From the titles assumed by both the father and the son, it can be said that both were in the administrative, in the court of Samudragupta. And so far as the identification of Khadyatapataka, we are not sure. Scholars have divergent views regarding the identification of Khadyatapataka, but no conclusive identification is made so far. The inscription was executed by one Mahadandanayaka Tilabhattaka. He was probably another minister in the court of the king. Now coming to the ancestry of and chronology of the king, Maharajadhiraja Samudragupta was the son of Maharajadhiraja Chandragupta I and Mahadevi Kumaradevi, who was a Lichavi princess. And Samudragupta's mother was Kumaradevi. That's why he was also called in the inscription as Lichavi Dauhitrya. And for the first time we come across the imperial title like Maharajadhiraja from the time of Chandragupta I onwards. Maharaja Ghatotkacha was his grandfather, and his great-grandfather was Maharaja Sri Gupta. So the complete ancestry or genealogy of the Gupta family, early Gupta family, has been given in this inscription. Guptas ruled from the capital of Puspa or Puspapura, which has been equated or identified with Kusumapura and identified with Pataliputra. Now this is the chronology of the early Gupta kings. It is known from the inscription that Maharaja Srigupta was the first ruler of the dynasty. He ruled from 275 to 300 Common Era. Then his son and successor Maharaja Ghatatkacha ruled from 300 to 325 Common Era. Then Maharaja Dhiraja Chandragupta first ruled from 320 to 335 Common Era. Then Maharaja Dhiraja Samudragupta ruled from 335 to 375 Common Era. Now coming to the conquests of the king as mentioned in the Allahabad pillar inscription, we know that Samudragupta launched 2 expeditions against the kings of Aryavarta or North India. The first Aryavarta war is mentioned in lines 13 to 15, and in the first Aryavarta war he had defeated at least 3 Naga rulers, and the names of the rulers, they are also mentioned in the inscription. One is Achyuta Naga, the second one is Nagasena, and the third one is Ganapati Naga. These were the 3 Naga rulers who were defeated by Samudragupta in his first Aryavarta war. Chronologically, the next reference to the conquests made by Samudragupta is the Dakshinapatha campaign, and the Dakshinapatha campaign is mentioned in lines 19 and 20, and the inscription makes us believe that he defeated 12 kings in his Deccan campaign. The names of the rulers along with their kingdoms have been mentioned in this inscription. In his Deccan expedition, he followed the policy of Grahana, Moksha and Anugraha. These are the 3 policies which were followed by the king while defeating the rulers in his Deccan campaign or Dakshinapatha campaign. And Grahana means subjugation, Moksha means liberation, and Anugraha means reinstatement. So after subjugating the rulers, the king liberated them and reinstated them in their respective kingdoms. Now, so far as the names of the rulers and the territories they were ruling, the inscription makes a complete reference to all of them, and the names are like this: Mahendra of Koshala, Vyagraraj of Mahakantara, Mantaraj of Kaurala, Mahendragiri of Pishtapura, Swamidatta of Kottura, Daman of Erandapalli, Vishnugapa of Kanchi, Nilaraj of Abhamukta, Hastivarman of Bengi, Ugrasen of Palaka, Kubir of Devarashtra, Dhananjay of Kustalapura. Now, most of the territories which have been conquered by the king have not been properly identified, but it gives a rough idea about the army mobilization of the king starting from his capital city Pataliputra in different direction. He came to south via Pithapuram, Bhengi, then to Kanchi. Then in his return journey he again moved another route to reach Pataliputra. These are the 2 maps which shows his Deccan campaign, army movement or army mobilization in the Deccan campaign, and this can be inferred from this route that the king had taken an eastern coastal route to come up to Kanchi and then return to his capital, that is Pataliputra. Now lines 21 to 23 mention the names of 9 kings of Aryavarta defeated by Samudragupta. Apart from the 3 kings who were already defeated in the first Aryavarta war, the names of 6 other rulers are mentioned, and they are Rudradeva, Matila, Nagadatta, Chandravarman, Nandi and Balavarman. These are the 6 rulers, and the other 3 rulers like Achyuta, Nagasena and Ganapati Naga, they were also included in the list of this second Aryavarta war. Now it seems that in the absence of the king in his empire during the Deccan campaign, the rulers of North India reorganized themselves for a showdown with the Gupta emperor, and that's why while returning from the Dakshinapatha campaign, Samudragupta made it a point to defeat all the forces of North India who organized themselves for a showdown with the Gupta emperor. Now the kings of the forest kingdom means Atavika Rajya, were also defeated by the ruler. Samudragupta had also defeated a number of rulers who were ruling over the frontier kingdoms of his empire, and the frontier kingdoms have been named like this: Samatata, Davako, Kamarupa, Nepal and Kartaripura. Samatata has been identified with southeast of Bengal. Davako has been identified with modern Dhaka in Bangladesh. Kamarupa has been identified with Assam. Nepal has been identified with the same Nepal in the northern part of India. And Kartaripura has not been properly identified, but some scholars point out that Kartaripura may be in Punjab and Haryana region, but some other scholars point out that it can be in the foothills of foothill regions in the Uttarakhand area. Anyway, they were obliged to pay tribute to the king. All the frontier kingdoms, they were obliged to pay tribute to the king. Line 22 of the inscription mentions the names of 9 tribes such as the Malavas, Arjunayanas, Yaudeyas, Madrakas, Abhiras, Prarjunas, Sanakanikas, Kakas, Kharaparikas, etc., who had offered allegiance and tribute to Samudragupta. Most of these tribal kingdoms, Malavas, etc., they were ruling in the Rajputana and Punjab region, and they were also defeated by the king, offered allegiance and paid tribute to the king. Line 24 mentions the names of foreign kings who paid homage and offered allegiance to Samudragupta. Besides, they also offered their daughters in order to show him respect. Among the aligned powers, mention may be made of Daiviputra Sahi Sahanusai, Sakamurundas, Simhalas and Sarvadvipa Vasins. Daiviputra Sahi Sahanusai, it is referred to the Kushanas who were ruling in the northern part of India. The Sakamurundas were apparently the Sakas who were ruling in the Gujarat region, that is in the western part of India. The Sinhalas were the island people in the extreme southern part of India or in the island kingdom of Ceylon. And Sarvadvipa Basins were the rulers of all the islands or island kingdoms. They were defeated by Samudragupta. Now, we shall come to the extent of the empire. After making exploits in different directions, Samudragupta had carved a vast kingdom stretching from the east coast to the west coast and also from the northern part of India, that is located in the Himalayas, to the Vindhya region and even beyond in the east coast of India. So the Gupta Empire under Samudragupta extended its territorial boundary in different directions. The inscription is often called as Allahabad Prasasti. Allahabad pillar inscription is often called as Allahabad Prasasti because it describes the achievements of the king in a figurative manner, and Samudragupta is considered as a god dwelling on earth, as Purusha or the supreme being, and he was compared as equal to the gods like Kubera, Varuna, Indra and Yama. The king is described as having put Brihaspati, the preceptor of gods, to shame by his sharp intellect and put Tumbura and Narada with his fine musical performances. He is described as a Kaviraja or king of poets, and he was a true patron of Sanskrit literature. And Samudragupta also issued a number of gold coins, and from the gold coins we are in a position to come to the conclusion that he had performed Ashwamedha sacrifices, and there is the reference to Ashwamedha in the inscription, in the Gupta gold coin, and he was also a lover of music, as is evident from one of his gold coins. These are the gold coins where you can find that Samudragupta is playing with Veena. Samudragupta is shown as sitting on a throne and playing Veena, and also the upper one shows that one horse is there, and the legend is mentioned Ashwamedha Parakramaha. These are the gold coins which give us an impression about the love of the king for music, and also the evidence of the fact that he had made a horse sacrifice during his reigning period. He issued different varieties of gold coins, and the legend on the coins describe him as Parakrama, Apratihata, invincible, Ashwamedha Parakrama, or the sacrificer of horse sacrificer, and Vyagra Parakrama. He had also killed a tiger. So this is called the tiger slayer type of coin. Now we shall come to the summary of the model. The Allahabad pillar inscription of Samudragupta is the most important document of the classical Gupta age. It is written in excellent Sanskrit, as we have discussed, and it was written by poet Harisena, who truly described it as a kavya or poem. And this inscription is, as we have discussed, written in both verse and poem. Harisena has extolled his master's achievement in a very ornate style, and he was apparently a court poet, and that's why he wanted to please his master. And it is a panegyric praising the king, not only extolling his political and military achievements, but also by comparing him as a living god on earth. Because Harisena, while extolling his master, he compared him with Prithu, he compared with Brihaspati, and he compared him with many gods like Kubera, Varuna, Indra and others. That's why Harisena had tried his best to extol the achievements of the king. Now, the inscription also provides a unique description of the Gupta Empire and its neighbors. Now, as you have seen in the map, the Gupta Empire was extending from sea to sea in the west coast to the east coast, and it also covered a vast stretch of territory from the Himalayas to the Vindhya range. And that's why it gives a unique description. It is a faithful account of the geopolitical landscape of India in the 4th century BC. It talks about the forest kingdoms, the kingdoms in Aryavarta, the kingdoms in Dakshinapatha, and even the rulers were also mentioned, rulers of different territories or kingdoms, they were also mentioned by Harisena. So, and the most importantly, while explaining the Dakshinapatha campaign, Harisena had narrated the mobilization of army from Pataliputra to the extreme south, and the kingdoms and the kings, they have been referred to by Harisena. So it gives a fairly completely kingdoms and the rulers of India in the 4th century Common Era, particularly while dealing with the Dakshinapatha campaign. Similarly, while talking about the forest kingdoms, frontier kingdoms, tribal kingdoms and other kingdoms, the inscription also mentions the names of a few rulers of North India, and also it mentions the kingdoms. And it is interesting to know that Harisena had mentioned the frontier kingdoms like Samatata, Dabhako, Nepalo, Kamarupa and Kartaripura. And when we see the locations of these frontier kingdoms, we find that mostly these frontier kingdoms are located in the northeastern part of India, particularly Bangladesh, Bengal, Nepal and foothills of Himalayas and even Assam. These are the locations which were made by writer or the composer of the inscription. So the inscription on a whole gives a complete geopolitical landscape of India in the 4th century Common Era, and from that point of view, it is a very important inscription in matters of knowing the kingdoms, the areas, and even the tribal kingdoms of the Rajputana and Haryana Punjab region. They were also mentioned in complete details. Malavas, Yodhayas, Kakas, Kharaparikas, Yodhayas, Arjunayanas, all these tribal states located in the northwestern part of India, they have also been narrated by Harisena in his composition. So this Allahabad pillar inscription of Samudragupta is a mine of information regarding the geopolitical situation of the country in the 4th century Common Era. Thank you.